think constitutes an accessible experience?
Well, I think all, of course, except for visual, it's sight, sound, what's going around you, the motion of the attraction, the description of the attraction, what exactly is in the room or on the ride to give me that feeling of, oh, if I'm in a haunted house, what am I going to look at the haunted house? I may hear, all these sounds and everything, but what exactly is going on around me? I want to know, ahead of time, the description, or at least something, oh, I'm going to ride in this ghoul ride and go through the different rooms, and there'll be something there that I don't know, witch's head floating around or something. I'm thinking haunted mansion in my head right now. But to have that kind of feeling of knowing what's around me. If not, then why go on the ride in the first place?
So, okay, Christy, can you talk about the autism perspective?
Yes, I think for the experience needs to be as immersive as possible without overstimulating for that person. So taking it as much as they're able to tolerate without causing, I know we don't like to use the word meltdown, but in the case of my son Timothy, we want him to be able to enjoy that experience as much as he's able to enjoy it, without him at the end of the day having a meltdown or being overstimulated at the end of it. So we want him to be able to enjoy doing whatever the activity is to the best of his ability. So we like him to go and, we're going next week, we're going to go accessible hang gliding. And we want him to be able to do that and to enjoy it and to be able to go up and enjoy it to his best ability. And then to be able to come home and still be able to function. And that's really the goal for us.
And so how old is your son?
He is 10, and developmentally he is probably 4 or 5.
And so where are you doing this?
We are doing it just outside of San Antonio.
Oh, okay. So great. So there's a accessible hang gliding
Yes,
operation.
there is.
Learn
Yeah.
something new. John, we'll move to you.
Yeah, fantastic. Could I get my slides up on the screen, please? Yeah, so I think when I'm talking to attractions and businesses in general, my philosophy is this famous quote, well, from a lot of places, but it appears in one of my favorite movies, Field of Dreams. And that's, if you build it, they will come. And so sort of the chicken or the egg, which came first? Well, in this case, we know that accessibility has to come before disabled customers can take advantage of product, service, attraction, etc. And so I just want to highlight 4 really cool things that I've been fortunate to do that were accessible, and perhaps surprisingly so. The first is in Las Vegas, and it's a zip line, but it's designed in such a way that this boarding platform that lifts one up to be attached to the line itself is hydraulic powered. And as a result, wheelchair users can utilize it. And so I had a great 30 seconds or whatever flying over Fremont Street in Las Vegas because this was thoughtfully designed. Another sort of speaks to the simplicity of accessibility in a lot of cases. And I went to Cambodia because someone put a ramp on the back of a tuk-tuk, and they were the first person in the world to do that. And so because of this mobilituk, as they call it, I was able to find a way to get around with a power wheelchair in Cambodia. And as a result, I got to meet this elephant her name, I forget her name, but anyway, this elephant appeared on the TV show Survivor, I think season 29 or so. And because of it, I was able to go on this same reward experience that the people who competed on Survivor did in Cambodia. I got this interaction with an amazing elephant. And then a reader of mine in this top left photo sent me this photo. She read my article and went to Cambodia because she wanted to meet the elephant and ride on the tuk-tuk as well. And a third one here is I went on safari in Kenya, and it's another example of someone putting the ramp on the back of a vehicle, putting some securements in there to strap down my wheelchair and allowing me to have this magical experience to see these creatures out in the wild. And there's a closer up photo of that lion. It's the first one that I saw, and this was in the Lake Nakuru National Park in Kenya. And then finally, there's really no adaptation here other than the attitude and the willingness to serve on the part of the business owner. I wanted to ride in a helicopter because I was in Rio de Janeiro, and I wanted to, get a close-up view of the iconic Christ the Redeemer statue. And I called up the helicopter company and they said, well, obviously you can't take your wheelchair in the helicopter, but we'll help you in and out of there. And so they did that. A couple guys helped me, lifted me into the helicopter, and I had a marvelous experience. And so this was, a pretty easy way to be accessible and to capture my sale and just saying, yeah, we'll give you a hand, get you into this experience. And so, going back to that phrase, if you build it, they will come, that really is necessary in terms of trying to envision how we can make our offerings accessible to the widest possible group of people.
Actually, if they build it, we will come, and if we know about it, we will come. So this is really the kind of the distinction. So I wanted to ask you about, I'll just digress, a micro digression. So just here is, I wanted to ask you about your experience in Fort Myers with hotels, because we addressed hotels earlier, and it isn't, and you were surprised at most of the hotels you met with thought they were accessible, and they weren't, and it wasn't their fault. Could you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think, and this is true of any destination, is that I think the first key, I talk about hotel accessibility from a compliance perspective because there are very clear, design regulations for what a hotel room should look like to meet the standards of the ADA. And the reality is that a lot of people don't understand it, haven't read the law, don't realize it. And I use, when I was talking to businesses and some of which were hotel owners in Fort Myers, I put up an email that I received not too long ago, and I get these pretty frequently, but it was the most recent one that I got. It was from an architect who had read something that I shared on my website to inform disabled travelers about what the design of a roll-in shower should look like. And she said, well, I don't, where do you get this from? I mean, why can't we do it this other way? And the other way that she proposed was not compliant and wouldn't have been very accessible for disabled people. And so I shared that, even the architects that are designing new construction today still don't understand the law and the regulation and the standards of accessibility. And so if we're misinformed at such an early stage, how can we anticipate the final product being truly accessible to a level that disabled travelers are going to expect in an increasing number?
Well, that's a good point. Christy, from an autism perspective in terms of attractions and restaurants and experiences, you talked a little bit about this earlier in an earlier session. And do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is restaurants, especially. I have found that the biggest thing is calling and talking to, having a conversation. You know, we have really found here, we lived here in Tampa until just last month. And we found that calling and having a conversation, to restaurants that I want to give a shout out here in the Tampa area, Eulalie and, oh, now I'm drawing a blank on it. The other one, but Eulalie in particular, we ate there with you a few months ago, is absolutely fantastic. Dats is the other one. We ate there right before we left, and we called them. We let them know that we had a child who couldn't handle waiting. They don't take reservations on Sundays, but we called them, let them know we needed to not have a wait, and they accommodated us. We had a large party that came in. They let us make a reservation anyway. We do the same thing in San Antonio. But most places, if you call them and you let them know that you have a child with a disability, they're willing to make an accommodation for you. But that's the biggest thing when you're booking travel, when you need to make an accommodation, just let them know. If you have a place, be willing to make that accommodation. Listen to your travelers, listen to your families. If you have somebody call, if you have somebody with a disability, be willing to make that accommodation. Listen to your families as they're coming in and make those accommodations for those families. You're going to have these families coming in who need these exceptions. Listen to them, let them come in, listen to their needs, and just make those exceptions for them, and let them tell you what they need and follow their leads. So.
Okay, well, thank you very much. It was very enlightening